Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable fellow ministers, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, and Honorable Members of Parliament. First of all, Honorable Speaker, I want to raise my disappointment at the walkout that was done this morning by the opposition. Honorable Speaker. Order. Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Minister of the Economy. Order. The Honorable Minister of the Economy, in his ministerial statement this morning, which they were not here to listen to and participated on, explained to the nation about the COVID-19 vaccine procurement program that's in place. This COVID-19 vaccine procurement is a strategy that is of the greatest importance for this nation now. By them not being here, by them not being here, they've shown to the nation they do not care about those who've lost their jobs. They do not care about the tourism industry. They do not care about the vulnerable population. They do not care about the frontliners. They do not care about Fijians. Shameful. Fiji is COVID-19 contained. And as of today, the Monday, the 8th of February, we are now nearly 300 days without any cases within the community. And you are not here this morning, Honorable Nawekula, don't talk. You are not here this morning to listen to what we are going to do to save this nation and the economy of this nation. Globally, there have been 105 million cases of COVID-19 reported, with more than 2.3 million deaths. Cases are increasing with over 300 to 400,000 cases every 24 hours and 10,000 deaths every 24 hours. Just because your nation can start having vaccination doesn't mean you will stop having COVID-19 straight away or people won't die. As of last week, we had 26,635 cases in the Pacific. French Polynesia with over 18,000 cases and 132 deaths. Guam with over 7,000 cases and 129 deaths. Papua New Guinea with over 800 cases and 9 deaths. Honorable Speaker, in the beginnings of this, our scientists, together with our experts, sat down and went through an epidemic model. And that was presented to the Honorable Prime Minister at the beginning of last year. In that epidemic model, we looked at something called R0, where R0 is the possibility of somebody infecting somebody else. If R0 is 1 or less than 1, that means that infection can only infect one person. We knew from then that COVID-19 was more than 1, R was more than 1. And we knew that if we allowed this to go uninhibited within the community, then we will be seeing the numbers that we're seeing here, 26,000 in French Polynesia. We knew, given our population, if we had followed what they had suggested by not having a layered approach, then this nation would have seen at least 5% of the nation get infected, which is about 40 to 50,000 people. With a 5% possibility of death, would have been easily 2,500 people die within this nation, if we followed what they had said. We decided not to because we follow science. We follow what the experts are telling us. The same experts, they have said to cut their pay by 35%. Fiji has had 56 cases in total. We have 1 active case at the moment, and it's a historical case. Currently admitted at Lotok Hospital. 53 recoveries and 2 deaths. The last 38 cases have been detected in the mandatory 14-day border quarantine in government-designated quarantine facilities supervised by the Ministry of Health and Medical Services and the Republic of Fiji Military Forces. Honorable Speaker, a total of 27,100 tests have been conducted, with a daily average of about 150 tests. Honorable Speaker, even though there's only 1 case, we're testing 150 because we're testing widely. We're testing those who are in the front line. We're testing also those who present to any of our 75 early warning sites with a proxy of fever, cough, or being admitted to hospital with pneumonia or admitted to intensive care unit needing ventilation. Our test positivity is 0.2%. As well as testing people in our border quarantine facilities, as I've alluded to, we conduct surveillance testing right across the nation. For example, if somebody might actually turn up to Wanikoro Health Center and have fever and cough, they would be tested. I must convey our appreciation to our border health protection team, and they are everyone. They are not only health, discipline forces, airport staff, customs staff, they all participate. We hear of breaches in border quarantine in other countries, but thanks to the men and women at our borders, we've not had a breach leading to a case in the community. Honorable Speaker, I want to touch again on this topic of a layered approach. Some countries, Honorable Speaker, have made it very clear in the beginnings of COVID-19 that they will rest their laurels on their hospitals. Some countries rested their laurel on their ability to be able to produce a vaccine. We didn't. We looked at a layered approach, a Swiss cheese approach, where we knew that we'll have the layers in between will be able to cover that. And what are the layers? The layers are the quarantine process that we have in place, the rigid and robust testing mechanism that we have, that whilst we have RT-PCR as a test we require people coming into Fiji, and there are more than 1,000 panels right throughout the world, we only recognize 24. And there was a period of time where anyone in the eastern seaboard of USA who wanted to come to Fiji actually had to go to one particular lab in Washington that we recognized. That's how pedantic we were to be able to come to Fiji. Apart from the quarantine, also, the other measures that have in place, the discipline forces actually managing the quarantine facilities, the PPEs that we have, the designated isolation facilities for those who are unwell, the designated equipment that goes with the ventilators that we've procured. These are all part of the layered approach. Also part of the layered approach is the slight restrictions that exist. One continues to ask, what is the role of the curfew in terms of health? This is what it does, Honorable Speaker. We know that the breaches in quarantine that's happened in New Zealand, Australia, all over the world have happened because people went out to go and buy something. They went out to have a good time. They went out to go and see family. And if, for example, in the Nadi area, if we still had nightclubs going, if it was 24 hours, it will be a place where the people in quarantine will feel like they want to come out. So breaches could happen. These are the many layers that are in place. Not one particular layer does solve it all. All the many layers all contribute. Included in it is the slight restrictions that we currently have in place. We continue to build capacity and respond to this pandemic. Since my last update, we've been using GeneXpert technology. This is now available in the 3 divisional hospitals, so CWM, Lautoka, and Lambasi. This complements the RT-PCR testing that we have. We are also exploring opportunities with our development partners for developing capacity to conduct whole genome sequencing for this virus. And Honorable Speaker, this was actually something that the regional director of WHO said to me in a Zoom meeting. He said, Minister, your Fiji CDC molecular lab has grown from strength to strength. We now believe that it's time that we can support it to have genome testing so that we can be able to identify the variant where it comes from, the strain where it comes from. And this is a level that many countries around the world don't have. Honorable Speaker, we are also formalizing the creation of Border Health Protection Unit in Nadi, and this will also include a new Fiji CDC lab in Nadi. And again, it's come because development partners have seen the strength that we've shown in terms of our COVID-19 containment and the capacity within our labs, and they want to support that. Honorable Speaker, immunization is a global health and development success story, saving millions of lives every year. Currently, 2 to 3 million deaths are prevented from diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, influenza, measles, and the list goes on. Immunization is the key component, is a key component of primary health care. It is the best health investment money can buy in our effort to strengthen global health security and in the vital tool against infectious diseases. Honorable Speaker, we've shown the strength of our immunization program with the MEN-C program that was done. We've also shown it with the measles campaign. In 2018, Fiji faced a meningococcal sea outbreak. We recorded 85 cases and 6 deaths. In response, we conducted rapid case investigation and isolation, and we vaccinated 91%, or 292,000 of our target population 1 to 39 years. With the measles campaign, in November 2019, we vaccinated more than 98%, or 360,000 people in the target population, 6 months to 5 years, and 19 to 39 years old. Those numbers don't include the many that are above the target population. Honorable Speaker, we've had 0 measles outbreak cases after the outbreak last year. We had just 1 meningococcal case last year and no deaths. It is essential for us to understand the importance of vaccination. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Attorney General alluded to what we're doing in terms of procurement of the vaccine. And because of time, I want to talk about the misinformation on vaccine. I want to reiterate the messages that the Honorable Attorney General mentioned this morning as we progress on the discussion related to vaccine and proactively planning on getting them earliest to Fiji. A number of the false claims are emerging, and I will list and address them now. Number 1, there is a claim that the vaccine is a mark of 666 with a microchip placed inside it. This is not true. The smallest microchip, even if they exist, is too large to insert within an immunization shot. The second, the vaccine contains meat products. Again, this is not true. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are made from mRNA, while the AstraZeneca from the DNA strand and contains lipids or fats, and a few other products such as sucrose, a form of sugar, salts, water for injections, and amino acids. Number 3, the vaccine contains fetal products. This is again not true. It does not contain any fetal cells, blood products, mercury, egg, or latex stoppers, preservatives, or pork products. Honorable Speaker, vaccinations that are currently widely used worldwide in Fiji are safe, and side effects from these vaccines are usually minor and temporary, such as sore arm or mild fever. Most serious side effects are possible, but extremely rare. Any licensed vaccine is rigorously tested across multiple phases of trials before it is approved for use, and regularly assessed once it's introduced. Scientists are constantly monitoring information from all the sources, including ours when we begin ours, for any sign that a vaccine may cause health risks. Remember, you're far more likely to be seriously injured by vaccine-preventable disease than by vaccine. For example, tetanus can cause extreme pain, blood clots, measles can cause infection of the brain, and many vaccine-preventable diseases can result in death, including COVID-19, as we are seeing with the millions of deaths worldwide. The benefits of vaccination greatly outweigh the risks, and many more illnesses and deaths could occur without vaccines. We have competent health workers who have been administering vaccines for decades, and as this vaccine is new to the world, we continue to strengthen our nursing capacity to ensure we deliver to the expectations of the nation. Honorable Speaker, it is not possible to predict every individual who might have a mild or serious reaction to a vaccine, although there are few contraindications to some vaccine. By following contraindications, the risk of serious adverse effects are minimized. It must also be remembered that by the time anyone in Fiji gets vaccinated, millions of people in other countries around the world will already have received their vaccine. Therefore, we've had the time to watch the effects of vaccines in other countries to ensure they are safe for our people. Honorable Speaker, therefore I invite and encourage all our community leaders to assist the Ministry and Government in addressing the misinformation around the vaccine, to discourage those who are spreading these false information, and support those who are vulnerable in our communities, so we are all well placed to successfully vaccinate our community, just as we have done together to fight the outbreaks in the past. Honorable Speaker, we have developed our National Deployment and Vaccination Plan. We've done consultations on the campaign with the medical team and with development partners, and in this process we have resource capacity alluded to by the Honorable Attorney General. Honorable Speaker, to be on top of our game, we have right number of staff to deliver effectively and efficiently and effectively, with minimal to no hiccups to service delivery, ensuring universal access to all Fijians, regardless of how near or far one stays. We will ensure that every team carrying out vaccination, there is a medical doctor available to support the team and at all times address any adverse event though unlikely, as mentioned earlier, that the adverse events are rare. Honorable Speaker, this is a program that we have experience in. As I've alluded to before, we have experience from the MENC vaccination campaign. We have experience from the measles vaccination campaign. Those experiences will be useful in how we will roll this out. And we are hoping, as I've alluded to, I'm hoping that the honorable members on the other side of Parliament will show responsibility and leadership by not spreading fake news, but supporting us in ensuring that misinformation is cancelled and taken out, that we will all support the vaccination program. Honorable Speaker, we also ensure to communicate as much as possible to everyone. We started doing it. The government pages, including the ministries, WHO pages. And apart from this, we have to encourage one another to consider giving the correct information. Honorable Speaker, with the registration process starting soon and the preparedness plans in the country, Fiji is ready to receive these life-saving vaccines for the nation. We intend to target more than 90% of all individuals who are eligible to receive vaccines. When science is ready to tell us that it's safe to administer amongst children below 18, we will ensure to protect. The objectives of these are simple. 1, protect all Fijians from contracting COVID-19. 2, ensuring that we do not have any more deaths or complications. And these, Honorable Speaker, will allow us to leverage on the opportunities to open borders, bring our economy up to par. And we can only do this together. This needs an all of government and all of societal approach like never before. We have done it together once, and we can do it again for our beloved nation. Honorable Speaker.